She was an actress with big potential. Then Brittany Murphy died young. Well, now a new HBO Max documentary is looking into the star's troubled final years.
Brittany, please come back.
She's a Scorpio. What else do you need to know?
I'm a double Scorpio.
Double Scorpio.
She evidently collapsed in the bathroom.
Before we begin, viewer discretion is strongly advised. This is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Right now, the internet is buzzing with claims that Ashton Kutcher might be getting ready to flip on Diddy, and it's not just about some music industry drama. This twist reaches deep into Hollywood's darkest corners and touches on the mysterious, tragic downfall of Brittany Murphy. Whispers suggest that Ashton, who's kept a low profile when it comes to Diddy's current legal chaos, could be sitting on secrets that go way beyond parties and celebrity gossip. According to multiple social media accounts and forums tied to true crime circles, Ashton was way closer to Brittany's final days than he ever let on. And now that Diddy's being dragged into federal investigations, accusations flying from trafficking to shady finances, some believe Ashton's name might be coming up behind the scenes.
During a little dip she was having, he came along. And I think that's where her judgment was muddled and she became prey.
Simon said that he was the largest collector of Vermeer, dated Elle Macpherson and Madonna. He said that he had been dying from terminal brain cancer and that he had bought an experimental treatment derived from the fins of sharks. Every single word out of his mouth was a lie.
We all were scared and freaked out. Like, who was this guy?
Once they got married, they were holed up in that house 24/7.
Nobody got close to her.
Last one, guys.
What's even crazier? Reports claim he could be cutting ties and cooperating, maybe to protect himself, or maybe because he's finally had enough. If this is true, it would be one of the biggest betrayals in modern celebrity culture. The idea of Ashton spilling what he knows, not just about Diddy, but about what was really going on around Brittany Murphy's death, has fans scrambling through old interviews and red carpet footage for clues. Suddenly, those awkward glances and offhand comments from years ago don't seem so random. It's like all the puzzle pieces are just now starting to fit together. The walls are closing in on Diddy, and Hollywood is getting real quiet. Over the past year, things have gone from bad to catastrophic for the once untouchable music mogul. He's been hit with wave after wave of lawsuits, and not just from one direction. These claims come from insiders, ex-partners, and even former employees. They allege everything from long-term manipulation and misconduct to serious federal-level trafficking operations. Raids have already taken place at multiple Diddy-owned properties, and sources online say more could be coming. But what really has people talking is how quickly the industry has started to distance itself from him. People who were once cozy with Diddy, appearing in interviews, collaborating, even partying at his infamous events, are suddenly gone silent or wiping old content off their socials. It's giving full-blown panic. And as this unfolds, some old Hollywood tragedies are being dragged back into the spotlight, especially ones tied to young stars who died under strange circumstances. Brittany Murphy's name has resurfaced again and again. She wasn't a direct associate of Diddy, but the timing, the rumors, and the eerie overlap in social circles have people connecting dots that were ignored years ago. The speculation that Diddy may have had some kind of indirect connection, or at least proximity, to circles where people like Brittany were silenced or pushed to the edge. It's all unverified, of course, but in the court of public opinion, where rumors spread faster than facts, that hasn't stopped anyone from digging. If you look at the last few months of Brittany Murphy's life, the details are beyond disturbing. She wasn't just stressed or struggling, she was clearly afraid. According to people close to her, Brittany was convinced someone was trying to harm her. She stopped eating at restaurants, started avoiding makeup artists she didn't personally know, and even refused outside food deliveries. Some accounts claim she would only eat things she cooked herself or prepared under her watch. She thought her home was bugged. She thought her phones were tapped. And instead of people stepping in to help her, she was painted as paranoid or unstable. But now, in the middle of all this resurfaced drama with Diddy and the growing talk of celebrity cover-ups, people are starting to re-examine what Brittany was going through. She wasn't just acting out. She may have been trying to protect herself. One of the most disturbing things she allegedly said before she passed was that she thought she was being poisoned. Not metaphorically, literally. And the strange part is, her physical symptoms before her collapse actually lined up with slow, toxic exposure. She was sick, losing weight rapidly, and barely able to stand near the end. When fans go back and watch her final interviews, you can see it. Her eyes darting, her nervous energy, her almost robotic movements. It was like she was begging someone to read between the lines, and nobody did. Until now. It's hard to believe this even happened, but both Brittany Murphy and her husband, Simon Monjack, were found lifeless in the exact same Hollywood home, just 5 months apart. And both times, the cause was listed as pneumonia and anemia. The odds of 2 adults dying of the same rare medical combo in the same place within half a year? Pretty much 0, unless something else was going on. That house has since been dubbed by fans online as cursed, and not in a cute ghost hunting way. Brittany's mother, Sharon Murphy, was living with them during both incidents, and her behavior in the aftermath only added fuel to the fire. For a while, she refused to let authorities conduct a full investigation. She even blocked some members of Brittany's extended family from being involved. Then, after Simon passed, she moved back into that same home like nothing had happened. People were stunned. Even stranger, several visitors to the house after their deaths reported that it had a musty, moldy smell, and one air quality inspector later said the property had toxic mold throughout. But while mold was floated by the media as a possible factor, the final reports conveniently left it out as an official cause. Still, Brittany's dad wasn't buying it. He later funded an independent test that changed everything. But before we get into that, it's worth digging deeper into Simon, because his entire presence in Brittany's life felt more like a trap than a marriage. From the outside, Simon Monjack looked like some mysterious, artsy British screenwriter. But behind the scenes, his life was packed with lies, lawsuits, and fake identities. Long before he met Brittany Murphy, Simon was known in Europe as a con artist. He scammed wealthy women out of thousands, allegedly faked business connections, and even claimed to have terminal cancer just to manipulate people. Brittany was a rising Hollywood star when he entered her life, and within months, she was completely isolated. Friends say he moved in fast, took over her phone, email, and even fired her longtime team. He was controlling, secretive, and would reportedly lie to casting directors about why she wasn't available. Some say he intentionally blocked career opportunities to keep her dependent on him. What's even more alarming is that Simon claimed to be working on Brittany's behalf while actually running his own shady projects on the side, using her name to leverage deals that never existed. Their marriage raised eyebrows from day one. No one even knew they were dating. And then suddenly they were married, living in near total isolation. Some even described it as a lockdown relationship. And when Brittany started spiraling, losing weight, showing up late to interviews, or canceling jobs altogether, Simon was always the one doing the talking. The weirdest part? After her passing, he tried to push a Brittany Murphy Foundation, then allegedly used the donations for personal expenses before it was quickly shut down. This guy wasn't just toxic. He was dangerous. Brittany Murphy's father, Angelo Bertolotti, never bought the official story. From the moment the coroner ruled her death as natural causes, he made it clear. He believed there was foul play involved. Angelo was never the type to just go away quietly. In fact, he spent years fighting to get the truth out, even when media outlets were ignoring him. He paid out of pocket to have Brittany's hair, blood, and tissue samples sent to a private lab. And what came back was terrifying. The lab claimed to have found high levels of heavy metals in her body, things like antimony and barium, which are commonly found in rat poison and certain industrial chemicals. That report sent shockwaves through online forums and true crime communities. Suddenly, the idea that Brittany may have been poisoned wasn't just a fan theory, it was on paper, with test results to back it up. Angelo even went on record saying he believed she'd been slowly poisoned, and some speculated that Simon, or someone else close, may have been involved. What made it worse? These findings never made it into the official LAPD case file. Authorities dismissed the private test, claiming it wasn't conclusive. But for many, it felt like a cover-up, or at least a refusal to look deeper. Angelo passed away in 2019, but his push for justice still echoes online, especially as more Hollywood secrets continue to unravel. If Brittany was silenced, people want to know who benefited from her being gone, and who might have been afraid of what she knew. While Diddy's career has always been soaked in glitz, fame, and power, there's been a darker layer quietly trailing behind him. A tangled web of underground connections, whispered rumors, and unexplainable disappearances that have followed him since the 90s. Over the past year, that shadow has gotten harder to ignore. Reports claim federal agents are now digging into more than just financial misconduct. They're allegedly probing ties to unregistered security firms, off-the-books surveillance teams, and event handlers who dealt with stars during their most vulnerable moments. And according to online chatter, Diddy's name has been loosely tied, again, nothing confirmed, to several now deceased individuals who either worked closely with him or publicly called him out before their untimely downfalls. Whether it's just coincidence or something darker, the patterns are unsettling. What's even more twisted is the speculation that some of these shadowy figures may have played a role in controlling certain celebrities, including Brittany Murphy. There's been unconfirmed talk of secret parties, surveillance setups in high-end homes, and attempts to manipulate or blackmail stars with compromising footage. Some believe Britney's inner circle may have been infiltrated, and when she tried to push back or leave, things spiraled fast. It sounds like something out of a Netflix thriller. But with the federal heat now all over Diddy's empire, people are starting to ask whether the old Hollywood elite were really just a handful of puppet masters pulling strings, and who might have been caught in the crossfire. It's easy to forget that Ashton Kutcher and Brittany Murphy once dated. It wasn't some secret fling. Back in the early 2000s, they were photographed everywhere together, smiling, young, and wildly in love. But what people didn't see was what was allegedly happening behind the scenes. After their breakup, Britney's mental health started visibly deteriorating. Fans noticed her physical transformation, her sudden exit from high-profile roles, and the fact that she was distancing herself from the kind of comedy-centric, party-fueled lifestyle Ashton had been thriving in. Now, with Diddy's name being dragged into federal investigations and Ashton rumored to be cooperating, internet sleuths are taking a second look at his old connection to Brittany. Some claim that Ashton witnessed things back then that he couldn't or wouldn't talk about publicly. Others point to the infamous case of Ashley Ellerin, the woman Ashton was supposed to meet the night she was tragically found lifeless in her home. While Ashton was ruled out as a suspect, the eerie parallel, two women linked to him, both lost under bizarre circumstances, has not gone unnoticed. There's even unverified speculation that Brittany may have reached out to Ashton near the end, either for help or to warn him about something. While there's no hard proof, fans are analyzing body language from red carpet footage, dissecting podcast interviews, and pulling every crumb of information they can. Some believe that if Ashton really does speak out, it won't just incriminate others. It might finally crack open the truth about Britney's final days. One of the most chilling theories to emerge in the years after Brittany Murphy's passing is that she was being watched, possibly even monitored in her own home. Former staff members and acquaintances reportedly said Brittany was terrified of surveillance. She believed her house had hidden cameras and that her phone was being tapped. Some dismissed it as paranoia, but others now think she may have been right, especially given how common surveillance was in the circles she moved in. The theory goes that Brittany either witnessed or heard something at a party or on a film set, something powerful people didn't want getting out. And from that point on, she became a target. Her erratic behavior may not have been a breakdown, but a reaction to real pressure. Even creepier, fans claim there were unexplained interruptions in her security footage, and that certain events leading up to her collapse were never fully investigated. There are also reports, again unverified, that an unnamed associate of Simon Monjack had ties to a private security firm known for blackmail tactics. Some believe Brittany knew she was being watched, and that her rapid decline wasn't just stress, it was fear. The big question now isn't whether she was paranoid, it's what she might have known, and who wanted her silence. With Diddy's name floating in similar circles, and at her peak, Brittany Murphy was on track to become one of Hollywood's biggest stars. After Clueless, Girl, Interrupted, and 8 Mile, producers were calling nonstop. She had the range, the voice, and the charisma to carry both indie darlings and major blockbusters. So why did she suddenly vanish from the A-list? Behind closed doors, Britney's career was quietly sabotaged. She was blacklisted from major studios, roles were pulled last minute, and scripts stopped coming in. According to insiders, certain powerful figures labeled her difficult, which in Hollywood is often code for not easy to control. Some speculate that her refusal to play the game, or to stay silent about what she was seeing, got her pushed out. There were also rumors that Brittany was planning to expose certain casting couch practices and name names. Suddenly, doors that were once wide open slammed shut. Even weirder, she was allegedly recast from films she'd already signed onto, with little explanation. At the time, people blamed her relationship with Simon or her changing appearance, but in hindsight, it looks like a targeted takedown. Fans now believe she may have been pressured to leave the spotlight completely, and when she didn't go quietly, things turned dangerous. Today, it's not just about what roles she lost. It's about the disturbing silence that followed, and why the industry was so quick to erase her. More than a decade after Brittany Murphy's sudden and tragic passing, her case might finally be getting a second look. With Diddy's legal empire crumbling and new investigations opening into decades-old claims, there's growing online momentum to revisit Brittany's file, especially now that multiple people tied to her inner circle are under scrutiny. Fans are circulating petitions, true crime channels are dedicating entire series to her story, and news sources are allegedly coming forward with previously unseen information. There's even been talk on Reddit and X, formerly Twitter, that anonymous insiders are feeding investigators details about the toxicology tests, missing footage, and potential witness intimidation. While the LAPD has made no formal announcement, some believe the pressure is building, and with enough public attention, officials may be forced to revisit what they once ruled as a closed case. What's different this time? The climate. Hollywood isn't the same as it was in 2009. Whistleblowers are being heard, secrets are being leaked, and the fear that once kept people quiet is starting to crack. If Brittany's story really is tied to something bigger, whether Diddy or a wider industry cover-up, it won't stay buried forever, and the world might finally get the answers that were buried with her.